Alrighty, g'day everybody, it's the Doga! When you see this backdrop, you know what time it is. It's time for another AC/DC showcase video. As indicated by the title and thumbnail, this is an update to my AC/DC collection. First of all, there's not very many additional items to my collection as of late, but I have 3 CDs and 5 cassettes to show here. Now, the 3 CDs I managed to get back in October and November or so. This one here is the 1989 CBS Let There Be Rock CD, identified by its rather plain looking back cover and album code as well. And of course, inside the cover is essentially a recreation of the original gatefold from the LP. Something of which they never did. They did reuse these photos for the 1995 CD, but in the end I personally think that it's slightly better here. Anyway, and the disc itself is your typical black and white affair, simple printing. I had to get this because it's got the faded version of Go Down from the early versions of the album. Of course, it was later replaced in 1994 and 1995 as well. Okay, now for a couple more rarer ones. We now have the 1987, well, originally released in 1985, but I'm guessing this is a reissue from 1987. This, made in Japan for the Australian market, is this copy of Back in Black on CD, of course. I have previously shown off the CBS version of this CD. This one's slightly different, as shown here. This is the second variant of the original Japan for Australia CD, with the Albert Productions logo in place of the EMI logo that the original release had. And for my money, this, I think, is my personally preferred version of the album on CD now. The clarity is so good that even Phil Rudd's drums and cymbals and stuff sound a hell of a lot cleaner than they do on any other CD copy, even the remasters. So for those out there who have heard the infamous American mastering made by mastering engineer Barry Diamond, well, really, he's got some competition in the form of this version. You've got your typical insert here. Personally, I prefer this version. I mean, I've not heard the Barry Diamond version, alright? I'm one of the few that hasn't heard that version, but personally, this version here is the best version, in my opinion. But we also have another original CD. This is the original Japan for Australia Who Made Who CD. This one, unfortunately, is not so good. For some reason, I think the Japanese engineers that put this one together just seemed to cobble everything together from the mastering that already existed or something. You've got the images from the original LP rear sleeve in here. And there are a number of mastering inconsistencies with this one, especially with DT having its opening cymbal cut off, and For Those About to Rock being much quieter than most of the disc, as well as the 2 tracks from Fly on the Wall having issues with their top end being too bright and very little bass. I'm very surprised that there's little bass on that. So really, I got both of those 2 Japan for Australia CDs for about $240 all up. But anyway, I got those a while ago. Let's now get on to the 5 cassettes that I managed to obtain yesterday. This first one I first tried to obtain last month, but unfortunately there was a screw up with the order and it wasn't done properly, so it ended up missing the deadline, which was the 1st of December. in the end, I ended up getting it yesterday. This is the original 1975 TNT cassette. You can see the spine here. Whoever owned this particular cassette was originally named R. Hogan. And of course there's the infamous typo with rocker. Instead it says rocket. And that was never fixed on any cassette release up until the CBS version. Which, by the way, I do own. You can check that out in another video. And let's have a look at the full sleeve now. Complete with kangaroo on the right hand side there. And of course the infamous do's and don'ts cassette care information, which must have started appearing around the latter half of 1975, because I do have the original high voltage cassette from February of that year, and it doesn't have the information there. Let's take a look at the cassette itself. Your typical paper label from that era. It seems to have some focusing issues. We'll be getting around to playing these eventually. As you can see, R. Hogan wrote their name on the cassette itself. Well, whoever R. Hogan is, if they are still alive, and if they happen to come across this particular video, well, I now have your copy of TNT that you may have bought back in 1975 or 1976. Okay, on to the next one now. We now jump forward to Let There Be Rock. Once again, just like the CD, this time we have the cassette. Let There Be Rock will be turning 45 next March. And this here is the original 1977 cassette. Let's pull it out again. Show off the full sleeve. As you can see, the kangaroo had undergone a redesign. This was the first album that I'm aware of to feature this redesigned kangaroo. I don't know why they did that, because they would end up dropping it later on in the year. And, like before, this also has the cassette care stuff as well. And we have the original paper labels once again. Definitely be looking forward to next March. That's when I will play this particular cassette. By the looks of things, it may have been in a car stereo at some point, but I don't know. If that's the case, then I hope it isn't too melted, I hope. I mean, it seemed to rewind okay when I was rewinding it yesterday. Let's hope it plays good. So I want to give it one last play before it goes into permanent retirement. Okay, next one. We move on to Highway to Hell. Once again, this is an original 1979 cassette. Of course, we've got the track listing here. And of course, let's get a good look at the sleeve. Oops, still likes to be a bit bendy. And then we move on to the black printed label. Interesting, this actually has a tape leader. It must have only occurred on a select few of these every now and again. Don't know for sure. Still, it's always nice to have an original one of that as well. Now on to another copy of Back in Black. This one seems to be a little rarer. I've never seen this one, apart from some online photos here and there. I mean, you've already seen this cover. And of course, you already know the track listing is slightly different. Well, the songs themselves are the same, it's just the text is different. And of course, let's look at the full cover itself again. Like to know whose idea it was to draw a line in between the songs and the information about Dolly B. But either way, this particular cassette label, I assume, dates to the latter half of the 1980s. Best guess around 1987, maybe. Not 100% certain. Okay, that's that one. Put it away now, and last one is the single cassette edition of AC/DC Live from 1992. Unfortunately, when I obtained this, the cover was water damaged for some reason. I'm guessing whoever owned it must have spilled some water or something. I don't think this was sourced from here in Queensland, because there were some floods here back in 2011, but I don't know. I don't think this was actually from Queensland where I obtained this from. Either way, badly water damaged, especially the inside. I mean, just look at the picture of Rosie, for instance. I was very disappointed with that, but I mean, really, it's not that bad. It could be a lot worse, actually. And I did give the cassette itself a play this morning, and it's fine. There's no issues with it at all. So I'm guessing it was only the cover itself that got wet, and the cassette itself did not. Which is good, because this sounded pretty good. Although it may have been played a bit, because there was a lot of hiss and crackling, but that is to be expected anyway from cassettes. But either way, that is all there is. It's a much shorter video than some of the other showcase videos that I've done lately. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Be a Good Doga content. And be sure to leave a like and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on what I have. Until next time, this is the Doga saying have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and we shall see you again.